What's up, everybody? My name is Dell. This is Dell on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Welcome back to Movie Swap. This is episode number 54. And if I'm not sure if his screen is bouncing around on your end, but it's bouncing around on mine, I'm just gonna. We've been having a lot of technical difficulties, so without further ado, I'm gonna just introduce my guest here. And this is Tommy. Let's see if he can actually get in there.
All right, can you see me?
I can hear you.
But you can't see me.
Can't see you. Not on the big screen anyway.
I can see you on my end.
All right, there we go. It's let me see what's going on here. Let me look out at the YouTubes and see what people are seeing actually.
Okay.
See what people are actually seeing
All right.
because it is a mess tonight.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, twins? What's going on with Wilkie? Can y'all see us? Yeah, the twins say they can see us.
They can see. Okay, well it's just glitchy on our end. That's weird. Where before we started, we got it where it was working pretty good.
Yeah, I can see because I can see you on mine.
Okay. For some reason, I can't see you, but I can hear you fine. So we'll just keep it rolling.
All
All right.
right.
And for anybody that hasn't figured it out, yes, Tommy, aka Black Horror Survivor, is the guest, and he is a great follow on Instagram. Puts together some of the funniest skits going. So I have a blast watching those. So my question for you on those skits is: this a solely you creation, or is this a tag team with you and the missus?
Well, it's me, but the missus comes in to let me know whether or not I'm too crazy or not. So so so
Got it.
so she's basically there to be like, you know what, babe? I think you're going just a little bit too far. Scale it back just a little bit, or she might be like, you know what? Go more, go crazier, go crazier. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a tag team. It's a tag team.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Just anybody out there in the chat again with the technical difficulties. What's happening now is on my end. Tommy's audio sounds kind of choppy, sounds kind of weird. So let me know if it sounds that way for you guys. If it does
Yeah,
not, great, then we'll just keep it rolling and I'll deal with it. If it
yeah,
is, we'll have to figure something out. But yeah, so yeah, I have a blast watching all the Instagram videos. Now with the name Black Heart Survivor, in my mind, I've heard you explain it before on KB's channel, but to my mind, it speaks to two things. One, of course, the stereotype that Black people die first in horror movies, and then the other side of that being Black people are gonna, when they are in horror movies, they're gonna do what it takes to survive, right?
yes.
So with that in mind, the first part of that, with Black people dying first in horror movies, in your experience, is it more true or not?
Oh, absolutely more true. Absolutely more true, especially for like the horror movies I like. I shouldn't say like the horror movies I love. And my heart is in 1980s horror. That's where I live. I will.
Oh, I grew up during the time. I grew up during that time. I know. It was kind of rough. It was kind of rough. Um, side note, that's one of the reasons why I actually really I'm a big Scream fan. Most the whole franchise. Scream 2, of course, was when we got Jada and Omar Epps right at the beginning. Now I see you shaking your head. I always give it an excuse this way. This is the way I give it a pass. So the first movie is really meta, and they're kind of making fun of all the horror tropes. So I'm figuring that's continuing on into the second one. We kind of making fun of the trope. Am I good on that, or am I just misguided? Ninety eight or 99. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. All right. I got you. I'm going now. Like I said, I'm an apologist for the franchise, so I'm gonna say Dwayne Martin made it out of the movie. Yeah. Just an FYI for you and for everybody else out there, whatever was happening behind the scenes here seems to have cleared up. So I can hear you loud and clear. I can see you loud and perfectly. So good. Um, good. Now I got my hat on here. It is that time of year, so I'm going to ask you for two Christmas favorites: one horror related, one non horror related. Hmm. Okay. 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 Hey, nothing wrong with Die Hard. Nothing wrong with Die Hard. Hey, I'm in the Christmas Die Hard is a Christmas movie camp, so I'm there with you. I fully understand. Anybody in the chat, if you guys have some Christmas horror or just Christmas movies to recommend, go ahead and throw them out there. I'm gonna go ahead and check in with the chat, see who's out there, and if you're still here, because we started quite late. Corey Wilkie's music, movies and music. He says, "Hey, what's going on, Corey?" The
What's
twins,
happening?
yes, the twins are here. She says, "Hey guys, hey, I believe that's Mika."
Mickey and Kira?
And
What's happening?
yep, Corey was just saying he can see and hear us both. Thank you, Corey.
Fantastic.
Holland is here. What's going
Fantastic.
on, Holland?
Well, hey,
Glad
I
to see
was
Holland in the building. And Mika also letting us know that she can see us both. So
fantastic.
I'm glad it was good for you guys. On my end, it was hell. I was not sure what was happening on this end at all.
But we were
Uh,
determined. We were determined to make this happen, man. We did not give up. I had to call wifey down here to the man cave and bring in some extra technical
That's
assistance.
right. That's right. That's right. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And I was doing clicking on my side. Smirk is here. He goes, "What's going on?" He says, "Hey, what's
What's
up, Dell and
happening?
Tommy?"
What's happening, Spur?
So again, I'm gonna skip by all the haze to everyone, just uh, especially for the sake of time now because we were a bit late, and I
Yeah.
want to respect your time. But do want to acknowledge people who just popping in. Tiana's here. What's going on, Tiana? Tiana's
Yana,
great,
what's
and she
happening?
says Dell is back. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Had a good little break, but now I'm back doing this once again. Uh, uh, and Meek even said the audio sounded great. So yeah, so it was just the world was just playing games with me. Is what's going on here.
Hey, but we didn't give
That's
up, my man. We didn't give up. We
we
didn't
didn't
give
give
up.
up. We didn't give up. And as they say, Tommie is the best.
Twins, what's happening?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I'm gonna throw this out there, y'all, to everybody out there. I am actually you ain't got no job. Love it,
Yeah.
right, right.
You
Hey, when I was back in high school, when I was in high school back in the 90s, you know how often I heard some of my teachers used to tell me that. They be like,
Oh
Tommy,
wow.
they be like, Tommy, is Tommy here? Everybody like, you know he ain't got no job. So
All right.
but yo, I'm gonna
So
try to go to BlurCon, so just be looking out for me too, man.
okay. Now I gotta explain that for the uninitiated, not BlurCon. I gotta explain what you just said for the uninitiated. If you didn't watch Martin back in the day, the Martin Lawrence sitcom, there was a character on there named Tommie, and the running gag on there was, he didn't have a job, even though he always said he had a job and was always doing something, dressed real nice.
Right, right.
So that was the running gag on the show. You ain't got no job, man.
You ain't got no job, man.
What's going on, Cal? Oh, he always keeps it cranking though. I
Kyle,
love
what's
it.
happening?
All right, not sure. I'm scrolling down, see if we got anybody else here. Prince is here. What's going on, Prince? He says, "My man, Dell, what's going on?"
What's happening? Prince. I love that name.
Yep. And he said Tommy came back up when you started going through the chat, so maybe you did disappear at some
Oh,
point.
okay, okay, okay.
And all right, we're getting into some recommendations here. Tiana, I love Violent Night. It's a pretty fun one. Watched the fun horror the other night, which was Secret Santa. I don't know Secret Santa. I did see Violent Night.
Yeah.
You saw Violent Night?
I saw a piece. I saw a little bit of it. I think a while ago, but I can't really remember it like that though.
It's if John Wick was Santa Claus is basically what it is. It's a blast though. It is a blast. I will say that. But that's really what it is.
All
All
right,
right.
all right.
Yeah. P2 Krampus Black Christmas. I haven't seen P2. I really like Krampus. Not
Yeah,
a
I did
fan
too.
of Black Christmas. Haven't
Yeah,
seen P2.
yeah. I like Krampus too. That's actually really a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Yep. And Twin said we have to get the Blur Con. Yes. And yeah, for uninitiated, that's basically Black Nerd Con. And finally, did we ever find out what Tommy did, Cameron? No, never found out. That was the whole deal. Never found out.
Yeah, that's just one of those one. That's just that's just gonna go down, and that's just folklore at this point. Tommy,
Yes.
did Tommy ever have a job?
Yeah. The guy that played uh the other best friend, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden on his name, played Cockroach on the Cosby's.
Uh,
Cole.
Cole,
Cole.
Cole, yes.
Guy that played Cole. He was a guest on the YouTube show,
Oh wow,
Math Hoffa. If anybody knows who Math Hoffa is, he was a freestyle rapper. He's still a rapper, but he
yeah.
also has this show that's set in the barbershop and he interviews celebrities. And they talked about that. It's pretty good if you could find it.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
that was pretty good. Cal says P2 was dope.
Pizza. Oh, okay.
I need to see it. I need to see it. And While She Was Out was dope movie. While She Was Out, I haven't seen that one. And the twins put them on to I'm guessing P2.
You on to okay, okay.
And Prince gave us Holdovers and Christmas Vacation, my perfect double feature. Both good movies. I really like both of those movies.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I was about to get into what we need to get into, but Cal got my attention with this Black Xmas '70s super overrated. I agree. It's not good. And I didn't see the '05 one. I saw the '19 one, and that was trash.
Uh-huh.
So I'm everybody tells me the '05 one was good. I don't know. Have you seen any of the other ones?
Not. I have not. I have not. I
Okay.
haven't. I need to check them out though. I'm gonna check them out. I think I got some time this year. I might be able to slide in a few extra movies to check those out, especially those classics or supposed classics.
Yeah, there you go. And Cal said, "You don't got bars like that." Talking to Math Hoffa. All right, so let's go ahead and get into what we actually are here for. Sir, please let the people know what movie you had me watch.
Woo! Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yo, y'all, I had Dale to watch a movie that is near and dear to my heart. It is called Near Dark. Near Dark. So, I mean, it's one of my favorite movies for so many different reasons. Do you want me to get into just a couple of reasons, or
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, it's a quiet vampire movie that it's essentially about these sort of back road southwestern driving real low key pack of vampires that's sort of just quietly driving around at night and killing people. And what's so cool about this movie is that it got to be one of the first ones. I'm not going to say it's the first one, but it might be one of the first ones that never used the word vampire.
That's
Um,
true.
it didn't use the word vampire. They didn't have sort of like the, Fright Night, Lost Boys, over the top effects and all that kind of stuff. But you knew if you're a fan of the genre, and even if you're not, just from just common knowledge, you knew that that's what they were. And they were old. You just didn't know exactly how old. They implied it, which I thought was so well done. Um, and they were strong. And it was a very small pack, of these vampires that just sort of just drove around. And this one guy who was in this little small town, I think in Oklahoma, and he liked this one young woman who was a part of the pack. He sort of took her out real fast and got more than what he asked for when I don't know if she intentionally did it or accidentally did it, but she kind of nicked him and he started to
Mm,
turn. He started to turn. So the whole movie was basically about him, sort of like trying to figure out, I would say really trying to figure out how to kind of like assimilate into like the pack of vampires.
mm,
And his family was trying to track him down, and he kind of found his way out, but then he wanted the woman who he liked to get out with him. So it was a great movie. Came out like in 1987, 88, something like that, I think. um
87.
yeah, I think it came out the same year. At least I hear it all the time that it came out the same year as The Lost Boys. So it kind of got lost, under all the hype and stuff like that, for the Lost Boys, and understandably so. I mean, Lost Boys was a really really good film. Um, but yeah, it was just a sleeper. I call it a sleeper, but that sound almost like a pejorative. Like it was just a really good quiet horror movie. It's a really good quiet vampire movie that sort of stepped outside the lines, when it came to like the vampire lore. And if you haven't seen it, which I think a lot of people have, but if anyone hasn't seen it, oh, that's a treat. That's a treat. Check that one out for sure.
Okay. All right. Let's roll through it a little bit. So we talked about she nicked him. The way I saw it, the way I watched it, it was kind of a heat of the moment kind of thing. It
Yeah,
was like she didn't really mean to, but she got
yeah.
caught up in the moment, and did what vampires do. She went for the neck, and then yeah, he wound up uh, going through all his changes. Well, and from watching a lot of other vampire movies, it can go. It generally, it's a pretty short process generally, right? Even if it takes a little long on screen, sometimes we get that it's maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
here, this kind of seemed to go on for quite a while,
Yeah.
and I thought they made good use of that, of him trying to figure out, what's going on with him, trying to figure out what exactly is happening to him,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out who these people are that he's all of a sudden in league with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I will say this though, right at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, you asked for every bit of this," because if you haven't seen it, for people who haven't seen the movie, she walks out of this club, nightclub, bar, or whatever. She walks out. Him and his buddies, they're standing, maybe 50 feet away, and
Yeah.
it was one of those things like, "Oh my God, look at her!" And he kind of shoos his buddy back, like, "Yeah, I'm going over there to get that." I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you deserve every bit of whatever you get."
But it was so well done. I thought it was so well done, though. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah. No, it was done well. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So, like, tell me what you. I mean, what was? Because this is your first time seeing it.
right.
Did it feel like a vampire movie you had seen before?
Um, it it did, but it didn't. So
Okay.
you brought up the Lost Boys. It felt a lot like the Lost Boys,
Hmm.
but meant for an older audience.
Okay. Okay.
That's kind of how it felt to me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was a little broodier, darker tone,
Yeah.
and a little moody,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and more focus on adult characters. Even
Yeah.
though there was the he had his little sister in there eventually, but
Yeah.
and we had the one kid vampire,
Yeah.
or presented as a kid
Yeah.
vampire. We don't know how old he is.
Yeah.
Um, so
Oh.
it felt a lot like the Lost Boys, but just meant for an older audience, which is
Yep.
keeping in tune with the 80s.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so yeah, that was cool, and there was some. Well, let me just kind of looking going through, because I did was keeping notes while I was
Yep.
watching
Yep.
it, and, and this is way off the side note, but one of my first notes was like when he's after he's gotten bitten, he's trying to buy a bus ticket home,
Yes.
and he said he's got $11. He needs $3 more, and I wrote down $14 bus ticket. Whoa, I remember those days.
And this is why the 80s, man. I love the 80s for all kinds of reasons, man. That's just one. That's just
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I was like, man, $14 to go somewhere. I wish we had that.
Like a long ride, too. Like a long ride.
Yeah, a long ride. $14 in the Uber gets you what, up the block?
Maybe. Maybe. What you think about the soundtrack?
The soundtrack was really interesting. It was definitely that it was really really dark. It was really
Yeah.
dark, and it was that go back to that, bringing that word brooding up again,
Yeah.
and it just kept us. It kept us grounded and let us know that things weren't. They're gonna try to keep this as grounded as possible a movie. So it's not gonna be a bunch of turning into bats and flying off.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get into some vampire stuff,
Yeah.
but the real, outrageous stuff, not gonna get into that. So
Yeah.
I did really, really like the soundtrack, the
Yeah.
score,
Yeah.
uh, for the film. I will say it took a little long for me to figure out what the point was, because
Mm.
at some point I was like, okay, what's the plot?
Okay.
Is
Okay.
there a plot to this movie? It
Yeah.
took a while for me to get there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I was because it was like, okay, yeah, he's turning, and then I was like, he's still turning. Okay, he's turning. we're gonna do something with this.
So okay. So um uh I felt like when I saw it though, did you feel like he was conflict? And I'm not trying to make this seem like it was deeper than it was, because it wasn't like a deep movie.
Uh-huh.
But I felt like he was conflicted. Like he was like, okay, I like this girl. I'm willing to embrace this new kind of like life, but kind of like undead life. I'm willing to embrace this for her, but he was still holding on to his humanity at the same time. And that
Yeah,
wasn't
I
just doing the work.
100%. Yeah, 100%, 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I struggled a little bit with why he was so attracted to her because she wasn't giving me anything. But
Mm,
for the sake of the story, I understand that okay, he did want this girl. He fell in love for
yeah.
whatever reason, and he was definitely conflicted because they were really reaching their wits end with him,
Yeah.
you know, especially
Yeah.
Lance Henriksen's character. Lance
Yeah.
Henriksen was kind of the leader of the group,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Hey, dude, you
Yes.
got to kill somebody." Or it was kind of like, you need to shit or get off the pot here. And I enjoyed that because it's like, okay, how long they gonna keep this dude around if he ain't pulling his own weight.
Right, right. Let me ask you this. Did you notice the characters, like the members, at least three of the members of the vampire sort of like clan? Do you recognize them from another movie? Like all three?
But I recognize Henriksen from lots of movies. Of course, Bill Paxton,
Yep.
I recognize from lots of
Yep.
movies, and the movie needed way more Bill Paxton, by the way,
Yeah.
and 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 even Lance Henriksen needed more than that. The girl, she looked vaguely familiar, but I can't place her.
All three, the woman who played, I forget her name, but she was Diamondback. She was Diamondback in Near Dark. She was Diamond. So it was Jesse. It was Jesse,
Uh
Sever,
huh.
Sever, and
Mm-hmm.
Diamond, and I think it's Diamondback, and all three were in Aliens.
She was in Alien. Who was she in Aliens?
She was the badass. She was the
She was
one.
Vasquez.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes, that's
Okay.
her. That's
Because I'm
her.
looking at her, I'm like, I know I've seen this woman,
Yep,
but I just
yep,
can't place where.
yep. She was the
Okay.
badass in Alien. She was so bad. I
Yeah.
loved her
Yeah.
character, man. So she was there. Bill Paxton was in it, and of course Lance
Lance
Hendrickson was
Henriksen,
in it
right.
too. Yeah.
Right. He
Yep.
was the droid there. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
okay, cool.
I think
Now
somehow
I
they
got
were
another
associated with that movie somehow. I'm not sure.
okay, I got another face for you in this movie. So Bill Paxton character, he takes off walking to hitchhike. His hunting is he goes hitchhiking.
Yep.
And coming back to the name Black Horror Survivor, these women two black women pull up in this van, or I think it's a van. And they go to pick him up. My first thought was, okay, come on, this is not black woman behavior. What are we doing here? Now, as an aside, that is my major problem with not Barbarian. What's the movie everybody where the woman shows up to the house and Justin Long eventually shows up? The movie came out last year.
Barbarian? I think that's Barbarian.
That is Barbarian. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. That was my big problem with that because as soon as the movie starts, this black woman just shows up.
Yeah.
This random white dude's in the house, this dark house on this dark block, and you
Yeah.
go in.
Or
So these two ladies pull up, and yeah, they pick up Bill Paxton. Did you notice, or the lady sitting closest to the window?
uh-huh.
Do you know who that was?
I do. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. She's played in a lot of movies.
That
Um,
is yes,
I
that's
forget.
Teresa Randall.
Oh,
Uh, Most famously, she's Martin's wife in the Bad Boys movies.
yes.
The original Martin's wife, the
Yes.
original wife.
Yes, that was yep, sure was. Sure was.
Yes.
Sure
Yeah, as
was.
soon as she stuck her head out the window, I was like, "Hey,
Yep, 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 yep,
yep,
yep,
I
yep,
know you."
yep, yep. And I have to say too, something else that was really really cool about that movie, just kind of like just like a little tidbit out there for y'all, and I want to know what you out. I want to know what I want to know what you out there too, but I respected that Near Dark in 1987 actually cast some black people in some speaking roles because there was the truck driver too
Mhm.
in Near Dark. Because for a second I started thinking to myself, like when I was kind of going through my list, and I was like, huh, I was thinking about the bigger movie, The Lost Boys, and I was like, were there any black people
I
in
don't think so. It's been a
Lost
while since
Boys?
I watched it, but I don't think so.
I say, were there any black people in the Lost? As big as that movie was, and
Right.
especially given this location in California, it's like,
California, yeah.
wait a minute. And it's not something that I think I recognized when I first saw it, especially as a kid. But as I got older, I was like,
Right,
started
right,
scratching
right,
my head,
right.
like, wait a minute, And so I think that's another reason why Near Dark to me kind of like has a notch up over the Lost.
Right. Now, here's the thing though. If you look back at 80s and 90s movies set in California,
Yeah.
if they're near the beach, there ain't no black people in them. Like we didn't go to the beach,
Right.
apparently.
Apparently. That's true though, man. That's true. I mean, it's kind of like, dog, man. Especially
Yeah.
when you think about like the only person I do remember, and she had a non-speaking role, but it was the black woman who played Fool's sister and the people under the stairs. She had
Yeah.
a really quick moment in The Lost Boys where she was like at the video store and she was kind of eavesdropping on some of the conversations that were happening, but she was kind of like in the background.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, I didn't see no speaking roles, man, and that kind of yeah, that's not cool, man. Especially for a
Yeah.
movie as big as The Lost Boys. Come on now.
Yeah. And you know, I like you. I grew up on those movies, and at some point, it's like, yes, that's just what it is. You
I just
know?
That's what it
let's,
is.
let's be better now. Let's be
Yeah, that's
better.
it. Now that we know.
All right, let me see what people are saying about it or about anything else right now. Mika said love while she was out. Just did a stream about it,
Oh yes.
and they also said the holdovers is a beautiful film. New annual
Mhm.
watch for us. It is really good. It is. I
Okay.
was very very glad to see it.
I'm checking
Um,
it out.
it's it's set over the Christmas holiday, but it's not a traditional Christmas movie. But
Gotcha.
it is definitely set over the Christmas holiday.
Gotcha.
Princess, sorry about the Knox, the Knicks meant the Knicks losing to the Hawks again. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Playoffs is what I'm worried about. So, Prince, I'm gonna say this. I've told my age on here before. I'm 53, and the Knicks last won the championship when I was 2, so I've never really I didn't witness that. I was 2. I've been waiting all that time. So when it happens, it's going to be a parade in my house, if nothing else. if, if nothing
Oh
else, Tiana, more love for the holdovers.
yes.
All right.
That's what I gotta check
Uh,
out, man.
yeah, yeah. I would say, yeah, one of those you're kind of looking for. It's a drama, but it's not too heavy.
Okay.
And it's just really really nice movie. Gets into some heavy territory, but in the end, it's not really a heavy movie. So
All right.
it's good fun. And Paul Giamatti and I'm drawing a blank on the actress who won the Oscar for that part. Also, they were both fantastic.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. What's up,
She's
Adrian?
Adrian is here. What's going on, Adrian? And Paxton is fun in Near Dark. And yeah, I'm just gonna repeat it. The movie needed way more Bill Paxton. Every time he showed up on the screen lit up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he really he brought it to this movie. For a little while, I was like, I wanted him to play the main part, Caleb. I would
Mm.
have liked that, but I don't know if that would have been a good fit. What do you think about that?
I think he did a really good job as Sever. I think he brought a lot of personality to that role that
Mhm.
I think made the movie more fun. In fact, when you look at a lot of cover arts for Near Dark, it'll basically be Sever. And
Yes,
you know what
yes.
I'm saying? So he basically kind of stole the show with his antics.
Yes, yes, he did, and I think I'm not sure if it's a knock on the actor or just the fact that Paxton was so great, but that basically the main couple, they were just not giving me anything. It was like some I'm not feeling the smoke of the fire, whatever you guys are supposed to be having. I'm not
Yeah,
feeling it like
yeah. I wonder how hard, you know what? I wonder how hard that is though. You know what I'm
that. Yeah,
saying? Like I really do. I don't know what people do, you know what I'm saying, like on sets, but when you I don't know if they go out to you know what I'm saying. I don't know if they kind of like go out a little bit before the movie actually starts to film. But like, how do you show that chemistry on set like that? Like, how do you
Mhm.
that got I don't know. Like, how do you do
It's, I mean, it's got to be difficult, especially if you don't know the person, right? You
yeah,
know, I mean, I know how I am in real life. You know, if I've never met somebody, it kind of takes me a while to warm up, and it might be a few meetings before we can say, yeah, there's some chemistry there.
right.
And I get it. I'm more of an introverted person, and not that I don't talk to people or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it takes me a bit to be like, okay, yeah, I can kind of relax around this person. So I
Right.
imagine it's hard on a set,
Yeah.
but at the same time, as a viewer, I gotta buy into
Yep.
that relationship.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. Definitely.
All right, Love Near Dark from one of our favorite directors, Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Like that is it's such a good movie, man. I wonder if they could do a remake to that.
I think they can. I really think they can, and I'll explain a little bit more in a bit. I'm
Yeah.
looking at it's a Near Dark watch for the first time a couple years ago, more of a
Mm.
dark love story, but Lance and Paxton do a really good job. I might say it's slightly better than Lost Boys. Okay,
Mm. Yep.
okay,
Yep.
I'd
I
say
agree.
it's the more mature movie for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the more mature movie for sure.
Yep.
Tiano, I don't know if I've seen Near Dark before.
Oh, Tiana, if you get a chance, try to check it out. If you haven't seen it, it's a really, really good movie. Really good.
Okay, great cast. Yeah,
Absolutely,
we talked a bit about that.
absolutely, absolutely love everybody in that one.
All right, and have you seen Carry On? I have not seen Carry On. Have you
I
seen
have
Carry
not.
On?
No,
I've been hearing good things, but I haven't
I've
seen it
not
yet.
seen that one.
Okay, Lost Boys is cool, but the soundtrack makes it better. It takes the movie up a level. You forgot one other thing, Cal. Greased up, shirtless saxophone man. He takes it up notches.
Hey, that was cool though, man. When I saw that, I was like, man, that with the purple tights. Come on now.
All right. New Tarrant Edgerton one, I mean. All right. I think that's, I'm not sure if that's Carry On. All
Okay.
right. So I'm going to, oh, wait, I was going to stop here, but my boy Floyd House Flicks is in. This is peace to my brethren in cinema. Salute
What's
to my
going
friends in the chat. What's
on?
going on, man?
What's
Glad to see
happening?
you made it out.
Yes.
And he says, hope everyone's having a blessed evening. So far, so good.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Cal, yeah, the Cal said the tone felt more like Class of '84 or 1999. Even had that same kid in it as a kid vamp, more
Mm,
raw than Lost Boys, filmmaking wise, and that's a perfect place for me to pause the chat because now we can talk. I can talk about Catherine Bigelow and how this is more raw.
yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, this is her first movie.
I think.
I think it's her
think.
first movie, and and that's where some of my other issues with the film were really with her. And I love her as a director, but
Yeah.
I can definitely see the growth between then and what she would become, even as far back as Point Break, which is only a few years after,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Um, so the a lot of the movie, and it's I know every decision. I know she didn't do everything personally on the film, but as a
Yeah.
director, you
Yeah.
kind of oversee everything. So
Yeah.
that's why I kind of lay it at her feet.
Yep.
So cinematography, a lot of times I was having they had some really great shots, especially when our crew was like off in the distance and it
Mm,
was foggy and the
yeah.
moonlight is behind them. We had
Yeah.
some great shots like that.
Yeah.
But then when things were happening, the movie everything was too close. I was like, I can't see it.
Mm,
I was like, okay, where we or and kind of it was hard to make out exactly what was happening.
gotcha.
And and the other thing might have been a budgetary thing is
Yeah.
that I talked a little earlier about Paxton. He got picked up by the two women on the highway.
Yeah.
Lance Henriksen and the other lady, they picked up somebody or got picked up by somebody,
Yep.
and we never see what happens to those people.
Right.
We just kind of assume what
Right.
happened.
Right.
And I
Right.
and I know that your imagination can be, worse than the reality. I get all that, but
Yeah.
at some point I wanted to see what
Yeah.
these particular vampires were capable of, and it took me a long time before I got there.
Gotcha. Now that's a good point. That's a really, really good point. Um, yeah, that's a good point. We only really see I mean, we see them in the bar.
And that's a great scene. Yeah, when we see him in the bar.
Yeah.
Some of that again was a little too close, but I was enjoying it. There were things happening, and that's where Paxton really shined in that moment.
Yes. 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 Yep. No, I agree with that. I agree with you on that point. That's a really good insight that I hadn't picked up.
Mhm, mhm. And it's one of those things where I think if I had seen it younger, I would feel a little bit differently. Like
Mm,
if I saw it back when it came out,
yeah.
then I might have thought a little bit differently about it. But seeing it at an older age,
Yeah.
it just hits different, and that's
Absolutely.
just the way things are.
Absolutely. And let me ask you this, Dale. Like, is there a particular reason why, since it came out in '87, is there a particular reason why you hadn't seen it until now, or
No, it's not. It's really not. To be honest with you, back when it came out, if I heard about it, it was just kind of come and gone, right?
mm, mhm,
And at that time, we were all about the Lost Boys. So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
and so I didn't really hear about the movie until years later, actually. And then, it was one of those things where I just never got around to it.
gotcha, yeah,
So
yep,
when we hooked up and it was
yep,
like, oh, okay, you put Near Dark out there, it was like, okay, I gotta watch this movie now. I gotta
yep.
see what's going on. And I'm a big vampire fan, so
Oh wow,
it was a big hole in my watching, right? In my viewing. So I was like,
absolutely,
I gotta check it out. I gotta check it out.
absolutely, absolutely.
No, one later on in the movie, we really didn't talk about Caleb's family much. You said, his family's trying to track him down because he's missing.
Yep,
All right. And they managed to track him down. He's got a little sister. I guess she's about what, 9, 10 years
something like
old,
that. Yeah, I
something
would
like
say,
this.
yep, yep,
So I'm gonna ask you, and remember, one of the vampires presents as a little kid, and
yes,
he sees this little sister out in the motel where they are, and I guess he's getting ice or getting a drink or something,
yeah,
and he just falls head over heels, and he's wanting to bring her back
yeah,
to the motel. He does actually bring her back to the
yeah.
motel room. What were your thoughts when that happened, if there were any?
Yeah, no, no, no. I thought that was one of the I thought that was one of the better scenes because this is where like Caleb had to make a decision that was going to end him up in one place or another because up until that
Hmm.
point he was sort of like riding kind of barely hanging on to the vampire clan. They were about
Right,
to like try to get rid of him because he wasn't doing what he should have been doing as a new vampire. But in that moment, especially considering how it started, because remember, they were just starting to kind of warm up to him because
right,
of what he had done earlier to sort of like
right,
save them from a situation. So he was kind of getting right into like just kind of getting into, especially the leader, Jesse, he was getting into his good grace, even Sever. And so when his family showed up, he was hit with this choice he had to make. Do I push my family away and to stay with kind of like his new family, or do I break and make a run for it with my family? And
right.
and I thought that was like a moment where I really liked that because like everything came crashing down on Caleb at one time. I mean, he had a
Hmm.
sister there who was like, "We've been looking for you." He had his dad there who was like, and I think and I think in a way Caleb had almost kind of like I think he was growing farther and farther away from his humanity up until that point because of what he had done, even though he didn't go all the way with anything, but he was kind of starting to really kind of sort of be like, okay, I'm a vampire now. Not say it, but kind of starting to
Right, 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 right.
lean into it. But then when he saw his sister, he got pulled right back into his humanity. He saw his dad, and in that moment, he was like, "Break, let's run," you know.
Right,
And
right,
I thought that
right.
was a cool moment. I thought that was a cool moment. I really, really, really did.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with all that. Yeah, he was suddenly faced with the choice. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Now before that, when Homeboy first saw her out in the outside,
Yeah.
I was a little creeped out because I'm like, okay, man, this dude might be 100 and whatever years old, and here's this little, little girl. But you get past that because another one of my favorite vampire movies, Let the Right One In, kind of the same deal. If anybody
Yes. Yes.
hasn't seen that one, check it out. Let the Right One In, or the American version, Let Me In, both
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but yeah, once in the hotel room, he has to make that decision, and he tries to talk his way out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but he really can't.
Mm-hmm.
He tries. So but they do make their escape. Um, and yeah, we're getting into spoiler territory for anybody who hasn't seen the movie.
Right.
So just a warning.
Yeah.
Floyd House Flick says, "What up with the lights, though?" Yeah, y'all hit the like button. Go for it. He's telling you, just do it. And but yeah, that was uh that was a big moment in the movie.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so it was
Yes.
kind of for me. That's where the plot finally kicked in. 'Cause, I mean, it was kind of meandering. Let me put it that way. Not
Yeah.
that it wasn't there, but it was
Yeah.
kind of meandering. And then
Yep.
we got to this part,
Yep.
and it was like, oh, okay, now we got something.
Yep.
Uh, we got the stakes here, right?
Yep.
The stakes are crystallizing for us.
Yep.
So that was cool to see.
Yeah.
And then here's the part where I would say that if I were younger, when I talked about I would view it differently,
Yeah.
because what happens very shortly after this, if I were 16, 17, 18 years old when I saw it, I wouldn't mind it. Now, after watching hundreds of thousands of movies since then,
Right. Right.
it just felt like, oh, y'all cheating. So, and what I'm talking about is dear old dad who finds him has all the equipment and the ability to do a blood transfusion, like in the barn somewhere. Wait, and that's the cure. I was like, wait, what?
That's why I love the 80s, man. That's why I love them because like what? Okay. Well, wait a minute. Okay, so Dale, well, hold on, because when it started off, so his dad was like it seemed like his dad was like a farmer slash veterinarian kind of guy, because he was
Uh
giving he was giving shots earlier to like cattle or something like that when the movie first kind of
right.
started, and so I bought it. I bought it. I bought it. I bought it. I was like, okay, all right. So dad can do a blood transfusion. Well, good. Well, that's good. Well, that's good.
And like I said, I know good and well that if I had seen this younger, I wouldn't mind that at all, because I know lots of dumb things that happen in lots of movies that I love from the '80s. But
Right.
since I saw them younger, I give them a pass.
Right.
But this, just seeing it older, I was like, are you what? What are we doing here? And that works. Okay.
And my thing is, he must have like drained all of his blood because
Yeah.
he was a vampire.
Right. And then we had to save the love story, so we had to do that again later on.
May
So,
May came May came back. May came back, and you know they reconnect. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's a great movie, man. I like. It's a great
hey, keep loving it. Don't worry. Don't just keep loving it.
and to me, somebody I saw one of the comments about the soundtrack to Lost Boys sort of like upping sort of like the
Yeah.
value of the whole film. I see like with Near Dark. I almost see Near Dark as having a comparable soundtrack to the soundtrack for Lost Boys. Now I know Lost Boys had the vocals, to back it up,
Mhm.
cry little
Right,
sister,
right, right.
but at least but with Near Dark, Tangerine Dream.
Hmm, hmm.
How can you go wrong with Tangerine Dream, man?
It's not pop like a lot of the Lost Boys stuff is. So you're not gonna get big hits out of it, but it
Yeah.
does fit the movie perfectly.
Yes.
And honestly, that is one of the things that kind of keeps you with the characters is that because the music is kind of dreadful in spots, and
Yeah.
even when it gets a little more upbeat, it's not happy. It's just faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you sitting there like, man, something's going down here.
Right,
This
right.
is not right.
It's
So
upbeat,
that
it's not
was, yeah,
happy.
yeah. So it was a that was a big plus
Yeah.
for the movie. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, no complaints, on that end.
Uh,
All right, Floyd says, I never liked a girl like that.
yeah, that's some intense love that he must have had like immediately because he went through a whole
Yes,
lot for her.
immediate. Loved her in Aliens. Vasquez was one of our faves.
Yes. Yes, I
Hmm.
loved her too in that movie. She in fact, her character was my favorite in that. Yeah, she I loved
In
I
Aliens,
did it.
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. She made it. She made that whole movie for me.
All right. Mika says, I still don't go to the beach. I do. I'll go knee deep in the ocean. That's about far as I'm going.
It can be a little overwhelming.
Guy is here, caveman. He says, "Hey there, just the white
What's
caveman."
happening?
Always glad to see him. And right behind him is Miss Caveman. Says, "Hello, movie peeps.
Oh, what's happening?
Glad to see you both."
Awesome.
All right, all right. Yes, thank you, Mika. Divine Joy Van Randolph is who won the Oscar for The Holdovers. So
Oh.
yes, yes, one of our few Black Oscar winners. So
Oh, wow.
she won for The Holdovers. She was really good
Okay.
in the movie. Paul Giamatti. Actually, the entire cast was really good. I mean, it's only three of them in the main cast. There's
Yeah.
others in the movie
Yeah.
from time to time, but that's the main cast, and they were
Okay.
all really, really good.
Okay. Okay.
All right. And yeah, Divine Joy Randolph was so great in The Holdovers. She's also great in Only Murders in the Building, too. I haven't been watching. I watched like a few episodes of the first season, and it's not a bad show. It just didn't hook me, and I have so many other things I'm trying to watch, so I just never
Yeah.
really went back. I don't know if you've watched it at all.
I have not. Only Murders in the Building. Okay. I'm gonna check that one out.
Yeah, Steve
Okay.
Martin and Martin Short, and who's is it? Is it Selena Gomez?
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that's who the third person is.
All right.
And yeah, loved her in Only Murders in the Building. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Man, I gotta add that to the list.
there you go. Yeah, I think they're on like season 3 now, though.
Okay.
Just the FYI. All right, Cal. So Near Dark, I just saw because the community talks highly. It's always flew under the radar. Same with
Mm.
People Under the Stairs. Always seen these movies, just never took time to watch.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just rewatched People Under the Stairs recently. Had a good time with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
people do love Near Dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glad you got a chance to check it out.
Yeah. I am
And
too. I hope you enjoyed it.
yeah, let us know what you thought of it, Cal.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and give my thoughts on it. My final verdict for Near Dark. All right, so a lot of it I think is tinted by the fact that I don't have the nostalgia that a lot of people have for it. So I'm just kind of going in raw with it and just as I am now.
Yeah.
And I picked up on a lot of little flaws, but that said, it's still a good film. I don't call it a great film, but it's still a
Yeah.
good film. I still had a good time with it. The third act saved it for me. Basically, everything from the bar scene on saved the
Okay.
movie for me.
Okay.
Um, with Lost Boys, I know a lot of silly things happen in that movie, but it's more fun throughout. That's why I would return to that one a little more. Same thing with Fright Night. It's just more
Yep.
fun throughout.
Yep.
And of course, I have a lot more nostalgia tied up in those two movies because I saw Fright Night in theaters. Lost Boys I didn't, but I saw it, closer to when it came out.
Yep.
So I did enjoy my time with Near Dark, and I can see watching it again and knowing what's coming. I may not be as nitpicky. So let me put it that way. But now I can say I've seen it, so it is I can check it off. That list of vampire movies that I still yet to see. Though I have watched lots and lots and lots of vampire flicks, so I'll say it's a win. I'll call it a win.
Welcome to the club, Dale.
And did Cal give us a under he did say People Under the Stairs super underrated. Yes, People Under the Stairs
Yes.
is a very good movie. Wes
Yes.
Craven. I
Yes.
love Wes Craven.
Yes. I hear they doing remake it. I hear Jordan Peele is remaking that one too.
Yes, I've been hearing that.
Yeah.
Uh I'm is he remaking it or is he producing it and somebody else is directing it? I'm not 100. I never got clarification on that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure because that will matter a whole lot. Just
Right.
I just hope they just do
It
a good
will.
job with it. Yeah, yeah.
It will. And a lot of that movie is still relevant.
Oh
So
yes.
it wouldn't be that hard of a remake.
Oh
So
yeah.
as far as like updating to today, it wouldn't be that difficult to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Cal gave us his verdicts. His Near Dark top 10 vamp film, maybe 8 if I did a list. Really good. Could have been better pacing. I would agree with that. And 15 minutes more action seems like it focused more on the love aspect, but really good though. Yeah, that's about where I am on it. I'm not sure if it would make my top 10, but yeah, I'm a his sentiments are pretty much where
Yeah.
I'm from.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
All
Happy
right.
to hear we got more people who we bringing over into the near dark the near dark team.
All right. All right. So we're gonna change gears now. We're gonna get to something a little gorier. So I'm gonna talk about the movie that I had you watch, sir. And that movie, actually, I do have it sitting right here. Is I Saw the Devil, a Korean movie from 2010 is when that movie came out. As you can see here, Kim Ji Woon directed. And I saw this movie for the first time in probably 2011.
Mm,
So I didn't see it in 2010. I saw it. I came across it in my local library. And I was looking at that time. I was just kind of looking for foreign horror movies, and I found that one and really, really enjoyed it. Um, it very brutal movie right from jump, all the way throughout it, and the story holds together. And the story is we meet a young woman at the beginning. She's driving along, but she's having some car troubles, and she's on the phone with her fiance. Her fiance, we know, but no one else knows, is he's kind of a secret service kind of guy. And while she's on the phone with him, a guy pulls up claiming to want to help her. And we find out very quickly that that is not the case because he just goes to town on her. We find out very quickly he is a serial killer. So our cop, he, after the funeral, after everything's happened, her dad, the woman's dad was also a cop, or is it his dad? I can't remember, get that part straight. also a cop, but he decides he's going to take some vacation time. You know, a lot of these movies, when somebody close to the officer gets killed, you know, the chief tells him, you know, you need to take some time off and don't investigate this case. Da, 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 da. He decides himself, I'm going to take time off. But yes, he's definitely investigating this case, and he's trying to track down this serial killer, and that's the movie from there. So just starting right at the beginning, uh, that opening scene, what was going through your head when that was playing out?
I think I chose the wrong movie from Dale's list. my
Fair enough.
first my first thought was, oh, there's a reason why I didn't see this one yet. Right. It was brutal. Oh my goodness. Have y'all seen I Saw the Devil? See, if this would have been like 1980s horror, the movie would have been about somebody seeing the devil.
Right.
It would have
Yes.
lived up to its title. So like, okay, all right, Dale. So like I spent a lot of time, like when I chose the movie, I was like, but when I was on Fandango, it had it listed under so many categories. It was like thriller, horror, suspense, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, well, I don't quite know what this is. So when I'm watching, I'm like, okay, is this about to be more horror? Oh, that opening scene, I was like, oh man, this is bad. This is about a sadistic. This is about some sadistic lunatic that's gonna make me look at everybody weird up in Target.
Yes.
Like, looking all around. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna save it for the end though, I guess, Dale. But that's
Okay.
my first thought. My first thought when I saw that, when the first scene, and it's so bad, y'all, because it's like, when they put the victim is such a petite, you know,
Mhm.
you just wanted this, you just wanted this protector. She just a little small. You be like, oh, this, you okay? You okay? You'll be okay. And then this guy just he's he's burling, and he's huge, and he just has no remorse,
Mhm.
all the things that you would think make a person human.
Mhm. Mhm.
He ain't that. And so I guess yeah, I guess he would be the devil, but because he lacks all humanity. Like, there is nothing in him that is normal
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all.
So from now throughout the movie, one of the things that I think helped the brutality of it or made it more brutal was the sound design. It wasn't movie sounds, right? It wasn't, a lot of over the top sounds. It literally sounded like somebody was being hit in the head with a hammer. I was like, oh no, this is bad. This is, so that aided the brutality of it for anybody who's out there who might want to watch. I Saw the Devil. So yeah, it definitely does that. All right, so now I'm gonna switch gears, switch over to the police officer, to the fiance. He's starting his revenge,
Yeah,
or he's starting to look for who's possibly the killer. He has a list of suspects.
yeah. Right, I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So he's got four suspects up of who it could be. Now I'm a big superhero fan, so when somebody goes, even if it's the Punisher, it generally takes a while to work through the suspects,
Yep.
and you may or may not do anything to them.
Yep.
But what we got here, Tommy? What we got with these suspects?
Oh man, so the suspects. Well, first of all, he has about four. I think he
Right,
has about like four suspects,
right.
and I think he's basically because he's at this point he has at this point it's kind of hard to tell. He's more like an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
He's more like your anti-hero because has decided to take vengeance, and he's like blurring the line. in terms of what justice is, because he has these four suspects out there that potentially could have been the one that, you know, took out his, I don't know if it was his girlfriend or his wife or who she was to him. But he
Fiance.
goes, oh, and so he basically says he's looking at the pictures of all the four suspects, people who possibly could have done it, and he's like, "Oh, I just kill them all."
Yeah.
He's like, "That's okay." They're like, "Well, do you know who it is?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm gonna kill them all." So
I'll get the right one that way, right?
I'm gonna get the right one eventually. The sad thing is, if I get the right one first, then the other three really didn't have to get it. But who knows? You know.
They're bad guys, so whatever.
I know, man. And so he goes after these guys, man. And you're right. I liked how you bring up like the superhero thing, because he is kind of like walking that line on being he is an extreme badass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the guy definitely picked the wrong person to, you know, let off his sadistic tendencies, because she actually had like a fiance who was like almost a superhero. And so yeah, just watching him go through everybody, man, it was brutal. It was brutal, man. He caught some people in some very inopportune times.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. He
and
did.
we're like going there and just, yeah, to that extent, I thought that was like kind of interesting, that who was more brutal? You know what I mean? Was it the sadistic, you know, lunatic, or was it the guy kind of turning or becoming sadistic and a lunatic in order to seek revenge?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I
It's
mean?
it's a case to be made both ways.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
definitely a case to be made both ways.
Yes. Yes. But he was definitely pissed.
Yeah,
He was
to the highest level of festivity, as Robin Harris would say. He was definitely pissed. We see more of the bad guys' handiwork, and it doesn't get any easier. That's for sure.
He was, I mean, um uh you know what, y'all, like when I so the thing as I was watching the movie, I was thinking to myself, okay, wait a minute. Now, as much as I love horror movies, why am I cringing right now? Like I can watch a lot of crazy stuff, but for some reason, it made sense to me. Like I have a hard time, Dale, and everybody. I have a hard time with movies that are just way too realistic. I
Hmm.
have a really hard time with those kinds of movies, because they are too realistic. Like this can be somebody, like for real, for real. Freddy can't be nobody, basically. Like I'm not worried about Freddy, so I'm just gonna have fun with Freddy. I'm gonna have
Right.
fun with Jason, you know. But when I'm looking at somebody who I'm like, oh, wasn't there like a news report on somebody like this guy like 2 weeks ago? You know, it just makes it so much more concerning because
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh man. And like you said, I mean, he just continued his I don't even know what to call it, man, because it's interesting, Dell, when you said that he I think you said he was like homicidal,
Hmm.
or something like that a little earlier, but wasn't he like a cannibal?
His buddy was accountable. We get to him later. He.
See there, y'all. That's why I said this one here. I, I was watching it. I was watching, and I started. So y'all, okay. So basically, look, y'all. So Dale was like, "I'm gonna come up with a list, and you come up with a list, and then you two do me." After I saw the movie and I started, because I had rented it, because I don't have it. I never watched it, so I rented it, and I started to be like, "Damn, I wonder if they'll be mad if I call and be like, can I change my movie?" Because I just don't do good with movies like this, man. Like I stayed away from
uh,
I've stayed away from movies like Henry.
oh,
Uh,
Henry is another one. Oof.
I've stayed away from movies like that, man, because I just, yeah, man, when it's just too real, when the monster is like a real person, you know, it's something for me, and it's interesting because I can watch a movie like Texas Chainsaw
Yeah, yeah.
and be fine with it because to me, uh, there is more. Okay, well, for me, the horror, I'm good with like some maybe some torture stuff going on, so long as it's rooted in horror.
Hmm.
But when the torture stuff is rooted in reality, or at least what could be reality,
Hmm.
that's when I pull the covers up a little bit over me, and I'm like,
Understood.
you know, because
Understood.
it's too real, man. It's too real. It's too real, and he
I,
got
I
work.
Yeah, I completely understand because that's kind of what gave the killer in this movie his power. Is that you mentioned before that there's nothing he's lacking in a lot of human qualities, but we still know he's human, right?
Yes,
Whereas when we watch Jason, we watch Freddy, we watch Michael Myers, there's a supernatural element to them. Even if
yes,
they look human, there's a supernatural
yes,
element to them. This guy, we know he's human, and yeah, he could be there. And the same thing applies. You mentioned Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. The same thing applies.
yes.
And that to me is always one of the most horrifying movies I have sat through. That is because that guy could be right next door.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
but,
Like
but
it's
but truthfully, that's what makes it so. That's what makes it horrifying.
but see for me, I wouldn't use for me, and see, yeah, see for me, Dale, I would use a different word. For me, it makes it more disturbing.
Yeah. Yes.
For me,
Yes.
it's more disturbing. And I don't know, it's a thin line, I guess, between horrifying and disturbing. But for me, when I think of horrifying, I'm still kind of secure in knowing that well, this is just fake. But when,
Hmm. Okay.
when I think about something disturbing, I'm like, it's kind of getting under my skin in a different way.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I'm
Yeah,
right there with you.
yeah,
And yeah, that is a better description of this movie and Henry. And again, that goes back for this movie back to the sound design. When Freddy's cutting somebody up, you get all the movie sounds. You get the blade sounding like it's rubbing on, scratching
right,
up against metal, and you get
right,
the and he's laughing. Ah, 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 he's doing all
right,
these other things. This
right.
guy is just emotionless, blank stare on his face, or he's talking really, really calm, and when he's hitting you or doing whatever he's doing, I mean, it just sounds like it's happening in the room with you because it's not anything, nothing Hollywood about it,
Nothing Hollywood about it,
right?
man. Nothing Hollywood. And I think to
No.
that extent, the technicalities behind this film were on point. I mean,
Mhm.
the lighting, like you said, the way they did this, the sound, like all that stuff was really on point, very well done. Um, and maybe we'll get to this in a minute, but the concept was a little. Yeah, we'll get to this in a minute, but the concept was a little. I kind of got lost a little bit with the concept.
Okay. The I'm assuming we're talking about the catch and release still. Is that what we're talking about?
Um,
Or are we talking about something else?
yeah, I would say that because it backfired.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It you know
So
what I'm saying? Like
I'm just going to clarify real quick for people. Again, I understand this is spoiler territory, but to understand what we're talking about, uh, the revenge doesn't wait till the end of the movie. Like in a lot of movies, it's not one of those where he's chasing them all through the movie and finally catches up with him at the end. He
yeah,
catches up with him pretty quickly,
yeah,
and then basically what happens throughout the middle of the movie and into really the rest of the movie is he catches up with this guy, beats the hell out of him, bruises him up, cuts him up, whatever, and then lets him go, only so he can chase him down again and do the same thing. So, but I just wanted to clarify that. But go ahead, I'll let you have the floor back.
I mean, that's a hell of a concept. I mean, because you think about it, you be like, huh, I'm gonna write something where the guy catches him and then let him go, and then only to try to catch him again and then to let him go, because then you run the risk, which he did, of the guy actually being successful in his
Hmm.
efforts to somebody else to kill somebody else. And it was like he actually kind of the anti-hero, I guess, you know,
Hmm.
he kind of almost ended up being not that far removed in terms of, and I'm sure that was probably like the sort of like deeper meaning of it all or whatever the case is, but he ended up being not that far removed in terms of brutality from the
Yeah.
killer. You know, I mean, and to that extent, I was kind of a little lost because I'm like, I thought he was just trying to, you know, get vengeance, you know, because of what happened to his fiance, but
Mhm.
it seemed like something else was going on.
Mhm. Mhm. He was definitely savoring it for sure. He was savoring every moment of this. But
Yeah.
yeah, it could definitely have been something else. So I got an interesting question then. Um, is there more than one devil in the movie then?
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, it is. I mean, um, yeah, yeah. I think on the surface, I would have to say yes, obviously, because I think you know the guy, the anti-hero, protagonist, whatever. I think he certainly sort of morphed into uh, a mirror, kind of the actual killer. Um, but then but then at the same time, if that was the case, why was I so gleeful when he was beating that guy, you know, beating that guy in the head? Because I was like, it was satisfying, and I don't know if that speaks something. I hope that's not saying something about me, but certainly watching because you know because when you saw when if y'all seen this movie, this guy was so brutal. Like the killer was so brutal and so non-human in his and he just lacked all moral base at all. And
Yeah.
so to watch him now suffer at the hands of this guy seeking vengeance, there was a lot of satisfaction that I was getting from that, where I was like, yeah, hit him again, you know, and I'm like, you know, and I'm like, and I'm like noticing all the feelings I'm having as I'm watching this guy like brutally just like beat the brain, and I'm just like, oh, making me very uncomfortable with myself right now. So
Fair.
the idea
Very
of
fair.
when you ask the question, is there more than one devil? Maybe, and I don't know how far away I am from that.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
just watching it, but at the same time, it's like you know this guy is like seeking justice, and I guess it depends on how you see justice. You know, is it an eye for an eye,
Mm.
or is it some sort of like more institutional type punishment? But yeah, it really makes you ask that question about what is true justice. Is it really an eye for an eye kind of thing, or maybe
Right.
maybe two eyes for an eye, because that's exactly what the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could have been. Eventually, we do get to because the killer he actually does have a friend, and he goes shows up at this guy's place, and yeah, this guy is also a killer. He's a cannibal, and he's got a woman there with him, and this whole scene was just wild. This is the wildest thing that's going on there. And so yeah, that's the cannibal that you were referring to
It is just so
earlier.
concerning watching stuff like that, because I'm like, is there somebody right now? Because I was watching this like it was like last night, and I was watching and I was like, I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, it's 11:23 p.m. I wonder if there's anybody out there right now who is having a fine dining meal on somebody else. And I'm watching it, man. I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, this is insane, man.
Yeah,
This is
it's
insane.
it's that. It is definitely that.
And
All
when I
right,
didn't realize that was like a person he was eating until he actually said something like the other guy was like, "You've been eating too much human." I was like, "Oh."
uh, yeah,
At
yeah.
that point, and it's not too often that I have to take a break from a movie, but
I understood.
I had to take several because I was was like, let's see now, what other movies did Dale have on his list?
This was the most brutal one by for sure. I will say that.
Woo!
I will say that. All right. Prince is out. He says great hat. He likes my hat. Thank you, Prince. Trying to be in the spirit here. And he says, my guy's a great taste in Asian stuff. That's my forte. There we go.
Oh, all right, all right.
All right, we got more love for it. I saw The Devil is a great film, brutal film.
Brutal, brutal,
And
brutal.
we got oh boy subtitles.
But it's a really really easy watch though. It's a really really easy watch, and you can follow it really really well.
Oh yeah, this is not a dialogue heavy movie.
No,
So
not at all. Not at all.
so
Not all the mess going on in this movie.
yeah. Yeah. I can speak a little Korean myself. Cool.
All right, cool.
Very cool. It says, how do you say Blade is the best vampire film in Korean?
Mm.
Go for it. Go for it.
Mm.
What do you think about that? Is that the best vampire movie?
Blade.
Yeah.
See, then because we're all proud
Okay.
nerds, we have to divide that up. Like, is it action vampires? Are these horror vampires? Now I will put like Blade in the same category as something like Underworld,
Yes. Yeah. Definitely
right?
same category.
And now between those two, that's hard. Because if I had to pick, now I tell you, if I had to pick between Blade and Victor,
That's tough.
that's
That's tough.
because I
Now,
love I love Blade, I love Blade, but I like Victor was cold blooded too. Now,
yes. Now I'm gonna throw a little bit of a kink in there. So I think Blade and Underworld. I'm with you. They're right there neck and neck. But I
yeah,
like Blade 2 better.
Blade Two,
Yeah. I like
Blade Two
Blade
was
2.
Blade Two was brilliant.
Yeah.
Blade Two was brilliant. The introduction of those, I don't know what they were, but
They called them the Reapers.
whenever you could come up with a character that was creative.
Mm-hmm.
That was really creative. When you could come up with a character that even vampires fear, I was like, oh, that's a great concept.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see
So
stuff like that all the time.
side note, my wife and I, we went to saw Blade in the theaters, the first one.
Yeah,
Both loved it. She's
yeah,
not a horror fan at all, but she likes action movies.
right.
Loves Wesley Snipes. She
Yeah,
was all in. So Blade 2's coming out, and all right, we definitely going to see Blade 2.
yeah.
Right off the bat, horror stuff starts happening, and I'm in hog heaven, and she's kind of looking at me sideways, like, okay. She eventually came around. She loves the movie too, but yeah, it was a little touch and go for a while.
Yeah, man. I mean, it did a fantastic job. And Blade, man, he was just, and I mean, for all the reasons we love, Wesley Snipes, man, he just brought such swag, to like the vampire genre that was like, oh man, this is my,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
absolutely,
can do this.
absolutely.
We can do this.
Prince tried to answer me. He said you wouldn't understand the writing. Okay, for Korean of how to say that. I get it. Okay. Mika says he became consumed by his vengeance, and then she added corrupted him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, uh, um, I don't know, man. Like, it was okay. I'm sure we'll get to that in a second, but it was still the concept of it still. It was kind of a, no point intended, but it was kind of a hard pill to swallow. I think anybody who's seen the movie will understand why I say that.
Yes.
It was kind of like, but I'm still not getting this whole. I mean, you got the guy, like you got him. He's
Mhm.
in your grasp. You got him, and now you're gonna let him go just to just to chase him down again. Like, because my thing is
Hmm.
all the stuff you're doing to him when you catch him, you can do all that right now.
Yep. Yep. You can do it all at once.
You can do it all at once.
Yep.
You can do it all at
Yep.
once. You can save yourself all the effort of tracking him down and everything. You just piecemeal it. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm starting to sound sadistic, but I mean, all you gotta do is just do it all at one time, however way you want to. But the whole idea of like letting him go and then only to try to catch him again, and because it was backfiring in so many different ways. Because number
Yeah.
one, the guy was also managing to hurt other people when he was let loose, and
Yeah.
then two, the killer guy, he was becoming more and more emboldened. Like every time he would get released, he was basically, kind of like starting to play with that guy's head a little bit and be like,
Hmm.
"You really can't hurt me. Like, there's nothing you can really do to hurt me." And it was almost like he was kind of playing that guy's game in a way. Like it started off as his game, but then it kind of ended up becoming like the killer's game in a
Right.
weird kind of way.
Right. Right. And Holland, I'm not sure if he's seen it or hasn't seen it. Um, but yeah, he's got that face going on. So if you've seen it, Holland, you would I fully understand why you're making that face. Um, if you haven't seen it, yeah, it can sound pretty daunting. That's for sure.
It
That
is,
is for
man. If
sure.
you haven't seen the Holland, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't watch it around the holidays. I will
No,
wait.
not a holiday movie. It is not a holiday movie. That is for sure. So yeah, don't. That is for sure. And Mika agrees. It's the realism of the film. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. 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 It's just way too, you know what I'm saying? It's just way too close. And I was even thinking about like another horror icon that is somewhat comparable to what this killer was. And I thought about Leatherface.
Okay.
I thought about Leatherface and I'm like, okay, here you got, I mean, they were sadistic.
Hmm.
Um, they were cannibals. Um, but still Leatherface kind of still had this monster like quality about himself. I don't know if it was because of the masks, he was wearing, or just the horror of the whole film. Like the horror of the film just sort of always kind of elevated Leatherface to something that was a little bit more than human.
Right. And that I think, not to speak for you, but I think also, the fact that he's doesn't seem very intelligent on top of it, so you can kind of dehumanize him a bit also.
Yeah, 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 and he just seemed to be unkillable.
Hmm.
Leatherface, he just seemed to be unkillable. Like he would kind of pop up out of nowhere. He kind of seemed to be everywhere all at once. And I'm thinking about the different movies that I don't know how many sequels they've made to
A lot.
Texas Chainsaw, but like in each one, he seems to be something a little bit more than human. He shows up in places where he really shouldn't be. He
Hmm.
seems exceedingly strong,
Hmm.
and so there's something about him that seems to be maybe not on par with like a Freddy or a Jason, but he's like human with like an asterisk.
Yeah. I would put him there because that's the same kind of feeling we get from Jason and Freddy and
Yep.
Michael Myers. And nowadays, even Art the Clown is just something a little more than human. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I fully,
Yes.
I'm,
Yes.
I'm fully in agreement there. Most slashers are based off real life people. That's true. This is even Leatherface. He says,
Yep.
"LOL, it's all real."
Yep. I know, I know, I know, I know. And I remember when I first found out that even like Texas Chainsaw was kind of based loosely, maybe on something
Hmm.
real, or on some
Hmm.
real folks or whatever the case is. And I don't know, man, that's just terrifying, man. It's
Yeah.
just like, at least with like a monster, at least let the monster look like a monster. Like it's so much worse when like the monster can like actually just look normal, and it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
oh, it's just disturbing. It's just disturbing, and it just makes everything so much like, okay. Real quick story, real fast. Like I was at Target
Yeah.
today. I was at Target today with my son, and I was like, we were like, shout, what's up, Turner fan,
Turner fan. That's Rich. What's going on, Rich?
and we were just like shopping, my son and I, and this guy, he's like a really really cool guy. He's an older gentleman, and he came up and he was kind of like he's my son was there with me. He was like, hey, little guy, kind of spoke with him, and it's just the way it is nowadays, where it's like I immediately put my arm around my son, and I wasn't
Yeah.
rude, but I was like, hey, how you doing, man? Blah 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 blah. But I'm like, hold on, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
like my
Yeah.
grip on my son was like like
Yeah. He's
this.
like, Dad, I can't breathe, right? Yeah, I get it. I get it.
But that's just the way it is right now, man. Because you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah, I totally get it. Rich has seen. I saw the devil. He said, "I love it."
Woo!
So,
All right.
uh, he definitely lost himself in his pursuit of vengeance. His pursuit of that also cost him other valued relationships.
Yes.
Which, I
Yes.
mean, definitely did.
Yes, twins. Yes, and that's why I said it's kind of hard because it's like did we eventually did we have two, like you said earlier, Dale? Did we have like two devils? In the movie. And I know that's like an artsy way of maybe like looking at it a little bit more deeper, but
Hmm.
I don't know. That's hard. I don't know. I think that question is kind of left open because it's like he was seeking vengeance for what happened, and so
Right.
I don't
and
know.
and she yeah, she speaks to that here. She said at the end it didn't seem as if it was worth it. Really, he had lost so much. And
Yes.
I'm going to come back to that point, and same thing we've been talking about for a little while.
Yep.
But I do have to say, what's going on? The T, what's up,
What's
man? I'm glad
up?
you made it in the building. And Rich says David made me watch this, and I ended up loving it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
R.I.P. to David, of course, always one of the greats that we
That's what's up.
lost recently.
Mm.
Um, T says he has not seen I Saw the Devil. I would say, Tommy's already warned everybody. I mean, be prepared. It's a tough, brutal movie. Okay, if
It
you do decide to watch
it
it,
is.
it is Korean. Also, I don't know how you feel about that.
It's a tough one
And
to watch.
yep, I recommend the short film Chime and Exuma if you haven't seen them. I have not seen those, both released this year, so I have to
Ooh.
check those out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So coming back to this whole idea, you brought up the idea of that. It started off as the cops game, but by the end, the it pretty much became the killer's game. So my question is, who won the game?
Um, I, I don't want to look at it more. I'm trying to be very, very practical, and I don't want to be like what nobody wanted and all this. Like
Uh,
society won because he was no longer in particular he was no longer a threat, and so
okay,
yes, society won.
that
Society
is a
won.
very practical answer. I
That is
will
a
I
very.
will say.
I'm going to be as practical as possible. Society won. He is no longer chopping up and doing grotesque things to innocent people, trying to get home at night. So
Right.
society won. Society won. Now it a lot of bloodshed had to happen, but yeah, somebody won. Somebody won. Society did win. Somebody won. I refuse to be like, well, nobody really won. No,
Okay.
uh, no, no. Is he off the streets? Yes. Then society won.
That is a fair answer. I'll be honest. I had not thought of that possibility as an answer. So you have got me there. All right. Hellboy rules too. Yeah, Hellboy's a good movie.
Oh yeah.
I definitely
Oh
like
yeah.
that. The
Oh
OG
yeah.
Hellboy for sure. Blade or Dusk Till Dawn, Cal says. Ooh, tough.
Blade.
Blade, yeah, yeah, Blade was close.
Blade. Yeah.
Blade was close.
One thing I never
And
understood about From Dusk to Dawn though is they got rid of the. It seemed like they got rid of like the head vampire. Like she was like one of the first ones to check out.
Salma Hayek's character. Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah, was she the head? It's been a while since I've watched that movie.
Yeah. Blade 2
Cal
is
agrees. Blade 2 better.
oh
Yes,
yes.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. It's one of the few movies well franchises that where the sequel was actually better than the original. I guess I put it in that category. I put Terminator.
Yeah,
Terminator.
everybody seems to put T2 in that category, and Empire
Terminator.
Strikes Back,
Aliens.
Alien. Now, there's a
And
lot of back and forth on that Alien and Aliens. There's a lot of back and forth on that one.
no, but you got Vasco. What's her name? What was her name?
Vasquez, yeah.
Yeah, man. That set it off right there. That set it off. She was too much of a badass, man. She was in part two. I'm riding with that one.
All right. I just watched Demolition Man yesterday. Wesley was a funny villain. Wesley is amazing in Demolition Man.
He
He makes the movie
is.
for me.
He is. He is. He was the one person who was able to carry a scene with Sylvester Stallone like that. Like
Oh yeah.
I was like when I first saw that, and I was like, oh okay, like
Oh yeah.
Sylvester has
Definitely.
he Rocky has a
Definitely.
worthy opponent right now.
All right. This is top three for me. Vampire in Brooklyn. Period. Have you seen Vampire in Brooklyn?
Classic,
Yeah. Fun
classic.
movie. Very fun movie.
Wes Craven too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Wes Craven.
Yeah, classic,
Now I'm
classic.
a, I'm a, I'm gonna make Cal a little bit upset though. I have to knock it a bit because it's got the same plot as Blackula. But let's move on.
Hold on, you seem like you put a whole lot of thought into that one, Dale. Give me a minute with that. You can't drop that kind of nugget, then move on.
Well, think about it. He basically Blackula. When he comes back to the modern day,
Right.
he sees this woman who looks exactly like his wife, and that's the woman he wants. So that's what he goes after. That's
Angela
exactly what happens
Bassett.
in Vampire in Brooklyn.
Angela Bassett was beautiful in
Oh yeah,
Vampire.
absolutely,
She was
absolutely,
just gorgeous. She was gorgeous.
absolutely. I got another or here: Sleepy Hollow or The Crow.
Sleepy
I've
Hollow.
not seen Sleepy Hollow, so I'm
Oh,
gonna have to.
so good.
I'm gonna have to see it.
Johnny
I
Depp.
love The Crow.
Johnny Depp. You know Johnny gonna always bring.
Yeah,
Johnny gonna always bring it. But yeah, Sleepy Hollow was good. I love the way it looked too. The way it was shot was really really creative.
yeah. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Catch and Release is all about the hunt. Play with your food.
Yeah, and you know what? You're right, Kal-El. I mean, all of that was, I'm sure, a part of like the concept, the thinking, but the thinking that went into it and all that. Um, yes, play with your food. Yeah, yeah, play with your food. But I don't know. I have a hard time still with that concept because I'm like he was mourning the loss of his fiance, and would you really want to play with your food, or would you just want to just consume it? Like you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like which one? I don't know. I don't know. I was kind of confused a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then that speaks to what Mika was talking about earlier. Not maybe it wasn't worth it in the end, and the final scene where he finally just completely breaks down
Yeah,
after it's all said and done. And
yeah.
I think he might have realized the mistakes he made along the way.
And it
So
came at a great cost.
yeah, yeah,
It came at a
yeah,
great cost. Probably a bigger cost. Yeah, yeah. A bigger cost than it would have had he just finished the guy off at the very beginning.
yep, yep. All right. So we can go ahead and actually put it to bed here, and I'm gonna turn the floor over to you and say, what is your final verdict on I Saw the Devil?
Final verdict on I Saw the Devil. Well, first of all, Dale, thank you for putting it on your list. It is a film that I had heard much about. I had seen the cover art to it, and just for whatever reason, just always walked past it. So this was the first time I ever watched it. I am not a fan of. I guess I'm gonna come up with this phrase myself. I don't know. It could be a phrase, but torture horror kind of thing. But it's not exactly a horror. Um, but it's disturbing. It is satisfying looking at some of the vengeance being taken out against the killer. My final verdict is for me personally, y'all, just for me.
Okay. Fair.
I didn't like it. I did not like it. I realized that I don't. I realized that I really just like horror movies. Um, and also I really don't like the torture stuff like that
Mhm.
because it's way too like 6 o'clock news, real. Um and and it stays with me in a way that it makes me uncomfortable. I really do respect though. I respect the like I said, the technicalities of the film. I thought were on point. I thought they did a great job with the lighting. I thought they did a great job with the sounds and all that kind of stuff. But concept wise, it still didn't make a whole lot of sense to me why he would continue to let the guy go and then try to catch up with him and then let him go and then catch up with him. I know the story had to be a story. Like, you gotta have a story there because you couldn't end it in the first 15, 20, 30 minutes because the guy done caught him and killed him. But
Right.
it just yeah, it just and I don't know, and then I thought that at the end, um, with the addition of, like, his friend who was like a cannibal, it was like that kinda came out of left field for me. It was like,
Mhm.
"Where did this come from?" And he's a cannibal, but he was eating too.
Right. 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 Because he was feeding him what he was making. Yes.
So I'm like, so where did that come from? I think it came too late in the movie. I thought that maybe if that had been somewhere or somehow a part of it at the very beginning, then I would have been like, oh, okay, to give it some kind of for me, man, to not have a reason really explained, other than perhaps he was just a cannibal, but
Yeah.
for there to really to be no reason why he was doing what he was doing, because I don't remember him ever saying this is why I'm crazy.
No, he never explained anything.
You know what I mean? Like, and you get an explanation with everybody else when I think about all the other sort of supernatural slashers. Jason is the way he is because the camp counselors were too busy doing the do.
Right.
Freddy is the way he is because he was tortured by the parents, and Michael Myers is the way he is. Well, we kind of found out why he was the way he was, and like Mike, part 6, whether or not you like it or not.
Right.
but 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 yeah, and Texas Chainsaw, they were just cannibals. But this guy, just to have no reason, and I know that some people might find some like some eerie poetry in that, in not knowing why somebody is that sadistic. But to me, it just leaves me very uncomfortable.
Okay.
I'll probably never watch this film again for the rest of my life. Two thumbs down, Dale.
Understood. Understood. Understood.
In
Now I
fact, in
will.
fact, I rented this on Fandango. I had 48 hours to view it once I started it, so I'm hoping that my 48 hours is over with because I don't even want it on my library. Like,
Don't want to no more. Did the missus happen to watch it with you?
She did, and she was like, "Yeah, you don't. I don't need to finish this tonight." Because I told her I kept cutting it off and cutting it off and starting again. She's like, "Hey, you can go ahead and turn on 2012 because I've had enough."
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. So,
But thank you, because I wouldn't have watched it otherwise to know.
yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah.
not have seen it otherwise.
So I'm glad you found out whether it was good or bad. That you now you know.
Now I know.
Now you know for sure. All right, let's go. I'm just gonna run through the rest of this chat, then I'm gonna let you go
Yep.
for the evening, sir.
Yep.
All right, Prince's last two questions. Tommie, my guy, what's a movie that gets you in a happy mood, like a serotonin boost, and doesn't have to be your all-time fave? And what's your video game nostalgia if you have one? So let's
Ooh,
start with the first part. What's a movie that just gets you in a happy mood, which you probably need after I saw The Devil?
I know, right? A movie that gets me in a happy mood. A happy mood. My wife would be like, "Yeah, I want to know that too," because you're always being grumpy. Let me see. A happy mood. A happy mood movie. That is a good ass question. What movie gets me in a happy mood? Damn. And it's sad that it's taking me a long time to come up with one. Um. Okay. Oh, The Breakfast Club.
Okay, okay,
That gets me in a happy mood.
okay.
Probably because of the
That's a
theme
good
song that I
move.
love. Don't you
Yeah,
forget
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
me.
Excellent, excellent movie.
And the video
And the
game.
second, yeah, video game nostalgia if you have one.
You know what? It was on Instagram and somebody posted the music to Sonic the Hedgehog. And
Oh, okay.
it made me go back. And I looked at and I started listening to the playlist to all the different stages of Sonic. And
Hmm.
man, it hit me right here. It hit me right here. I was like, "Oh, that's the music to the Labyrinth board."
Yeah, I haven't played Sonic in so long.
Oh man, come on! Remember Alter Beast?
Yes, yes, I do remember that game. Yeah, I had it on Sega Genesis. I had it on.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Cal gives us the evil laugh. And yeah, he said Dell made him watch this on holidays, shaking my head, shame. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had one or two Christmas themed movies on there. He didn't bite. He didn't bite.
I'm glad I got it out the way though. At least now I can see I saw it. I saw it.
Yep, yep. Mika says there were no winners in my opinion. Our hero became a villain in his own right. He
Yep.
became the thing he hunted. Fair, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The cost was too high for the payback. Yeah.
Yes, because he ended up losing even more. I
Yeah.
mean, those two people. I mean, he lost that because that was like wasn't it kind of like his father-in-law kind of thing? Or
Yeah, I think it was his father-in-law or soon-to-be father-in-law,
yeah, and then
and
her sister.
her sister. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was like by the end of it, I was kind of like just down. But after I saw it, I
Mhm.
was like, oh gosh, let me go put on my let me go put on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Says, how many albums of My Name Twin do you own? As of right now, and I'm no more, I'm gonna go story time. I'm gonna go story time. So if you don't remember, well, you can see his name there. His name is Prince, and I'm a huge Prince fan.
That's what's up.
So at one point, I had all the albums up to Musicology, which was like 97 or somewhere in there was was that one. So I had all of those albums.
That's about 15 albums. You had all of them.
I had all of them. I didn't have them on vinyl, but I had them on CD or whatever.
Wow.
Had them. House where I used to live, there was a flood,
Oh
and so we
wow.
had some people. I didn't actually lose them in the flood. Here's the interesting part. So I had some people coming in to work on the house, and after the work was done, the albums were gone.
What?
Most of them, almost all of them. So I don't
Oh.
have any more, except
Oh.
for So over the, I didn't bother replacing them because by this time,
Right. Yeah.
streaming started. So whenever I wanted to listen to some Prince, I could find it,
Yeah.
somewhere. So what one day, my brother, who knows I'm a big Prince fan, he just happened to come across Purple Rain is right there. He happened
Oh,
to come
that's
across
what's
the
up.
vinyl, so he
That's
bought
what's
that
up.
for me. So that's the only actual album that I own now of his.
Oh,
But I do listen to the music. So
oh, wow. Sorry to hear that, man. You know, one of my
yeah,
favorite songs by him that I don't hear a lot about is Empty Room.
yeah, good song. Yeah.
Empty Room. I love that one. I think Empty Room and that I know I liked his more like somebody, um,
Hmm.
the one, um, uh the beautiful ones, of course.
Beautiful, great. Yeah.
Uh I liked his more kind of like slower, I Hate You.
Hmm.
I liked his more sort of like, kind of slower, kind of like tunes. I saw him live in concert once.
Now that I did not get to do, and I was very
Ah,
saddened when he passed. Because
yeah.
now another side story about that is the same house where we had this flooding happen. It so happened to be not too far from an amphitheater, and so when he came to town, I could not afford the tickets, but I could
Right.
hear most of the concert from
Wow.
my yard. So I
Wow.
heard it. I just couldn't see it. So and
Wow.
it wasn't like so close that it was like deafening, anything like that.
Yeah.
But I could hear what song was playing.
Mm.
So that was as close as I got,
Ah,
sadly.
that's all right, man. That
And
makes me sad, man.
yeah, it is what it is. Um,
Ah,
yeah, it is what it is.
such it's so I mean, I just feel like, certain people that will never see somebody like certain people again. You know what I mean? Like I think there are just some
Right.
artists who they're just literally once in a lifetime. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
him, Mike. I mean, they're just certain people who you just like. All right, at least we were alive to see him.
Yeah. If I don't know if he's still here or not, but Floyd House Flicks, he's been collecting a lot of vinyl. I know he has some Prince albums and lots of Prince stuff. I
Mm.
do have all the Prince, well, the studio films. I do have Purple Rain, Under the Cherry Moon, Graffiti Bridge.
Oh yes.
Uh, if you've never seen Graffiti Bridge, just don't bother. It's
Oh, come on now. Hey. When Thelma Camel let out that,
yeah, yeah.
come
It's
on now.
Yeah, great song. Well, you know what? I can't even say that. I will say this: if you want to see Purple Rain is already kind of a music video.
Yeah.
Graffiti Bridge is even more of a music video
Oh yeah,
than an
definitely.
actual movie. Uh,
Definitely.
Under the Cherry Moon is kind of that way too.
Yep.
But if you're a Prince fan, you gotta have them. You gotta see them
Absolutely.
at least. You gotta
Absolutely.
see them at least. All right, says yeah,
Absolutely.
I ask the serotonin boost all the time. Uh, I wish Breakfast Club had a sequel named Lunch Break Club. Very nice.
Ah, love it. Love it.
Yep. And here's even better news for you. Just followed you, Tommie, on IG. Same Scooby pick.
Oh, that's what's up. Thank you so much.
So always a win for me if someone subscribes to my guest. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that as well.
Thank
Says thank
you.
you for the stream. I'll see you in the future stream. You and I, Dell. Yeah, one of these days we gotta put that together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Dale, can I just say one thing real fast, man?
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody in the comments, man. I know it took us a little bit of time to get on tonight. We had some major we had some major technical stuff going on. So I just appreciate you guys hanging in there with us and then just even coming back to see if we were still, see if we were on eventually. So thank y'all
Yeah.
so much.
Absolutely. Corey says you do have to watch something fun after I saw the devil. It's a tough one.
It is. It is. It really is. It's like one of those things you kind of gotta. You're like, oh, I gotta get that out of my system.
Yeah, yeah. Watch a Jackie Chan one for all out comedy, action, fun. I recommend Mr. Nice Guy.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with Jackie Chan.
Yep.
I mean, you
Yep.
can, but you got to search. Got to search high. You got to search. They're out there, but you got to search. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up there, Mr. Tommie. I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. Tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to, and
Yeah.
whatever else you want to let them know.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This has been so much fun, Dell. I mean, Love the content. Thank you so much, brother, for having me on. I can be found on Instagram at Black Horror Survivor. And I am coming out with a brand new project. It's a rather large project, and I am planning on making an announcement as to what that project is next month. So hop on to Instagram and follow me if you're not already, and you'll be getting more news about sort of like the launch date, time, and place for my new project that's coming out. Actually, it's me and I have a team along with me that's coming out with a new project that's all oriented in horror. Great horror. So,
All right, I'm looking forward to that. Any chance I saw the devil going to be on one of those episodes?
absolutely not. Absolutely no.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, yeah, definitely looking forward to hearing that. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I had a blast.
Oh,
And I hope everybody in the chat had a blast. I'm not sure when the next movie swap will be and with who. It's looking like it's going to be after the first 3 years. So it's going to be into the new year. But I may try to sneak one in right before New Year's. We'll see. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Thanks again to you, Tommie. Thanks again to everybody out in the chat. And we're going to call it a night right there, guys. Bye bye.